Well, y'all, welcome back to Church Street. This is the podcast of First Grapevine Methodist Church, and we have a few different subsets that we do on this. You may have heard us on the Bullpen or heard about some of our missions projects and our village ministry, and some are just some church stuff, and this falls under the category of church stuff today.
Yeah.
We are excited to talk about what happened this past Sunday and what we're doing this month, and even looking forward for the rest of the year. So my name is Zach Stiefel. I guess I can say I'm the senior pastor here at First Grapevine Methodist Church. I'm joined by one of our other pastors, Dr. Keva Green, and we have two production people here with us today. We have Paul Beals and Vance Morton, who are both off-screen, but they have the distinct role of making us sound good and making us look good here on this podcast.
We had to bring in extra help to do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of scary, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if you heard, but Paul's going on a cruise.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We won't tell you where he's going to be, but Vance is sitting with him and learning the ropes a little bit today.
Yeah.
But as we start this conversation, let's talk about our sermon series.
Okay.
So this week we started a new sermon series called God is Always at Work, and this is a series that I'm excited to hear your heart behind, Keva. As you have, I'm going to let you talk about it. Let's talk about God is Always at Work.
All right. Well, in fact, I am thrilled about this sermon series. It pulls from the highlights of a very powerful Bible study called Experiencing God. And that's a Bible study that's been around for quite a while, but part of the reason it's been around for so long is because it really has impacted lives.
Yeah.
And not only personal lives, but has done amazing things as far as uniting churches and helping them to really understand how God is working all around them and how to join God in that work. And so since I've seen that, in my own life through several different churches, it was exciting that we could be doing it here.
Yeah. And so before we talk a little bit more about the sermon series, can you share some kind of God stories about how you've seen the Experiencing God Bible study benefit people and churches and relationships with the Lord?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those Bible studies that kind of steps you through it. It shows you in Scripture how God moves. And there are 7 realities of that God is always working around you, that first place, he wants a relationship with us. And then the third part of that is that he invites us to join him in his work. He speaks to us through Bible prayer, circumstances in church, and then he causes us to have a crisis of belief of whether we really believe that he's the one talking to us and what he's calling us to, and then we have to adjust ourselves to that. And then the last part is we obey and we experience. And so as far as watching this play out in people's lives, it is as if, when you show this to them and you show them throughout Scripture how this has worked in Moses' life and Abraham's life and different people's lives throughout Scripture, then they begin to notice that God's working around them, and it's opportunity for them to really get more involved with God. I think sometimes we say we're Christians, we come to church, but we don't really recognize that God is really moving in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing about this Bible study is watching people who may have been Christians for a long, long time that were like at one level. It was almost like they were plateaued and they were thinking, this is all there is.
Yeah.
And then they have a chance to really start looking at some of this and looking at the Bible. And they realize that God is moving in their lives, and it's opened them up. And I'll be honest, for me, that was part of the reason I went in ministry, was because of this Bible study, of really recognizing that God was speaking to me, and left an incredible career, walked away from it, and started seminary, went into ministry and everything else.
Yeah.
But I've seen quite a few other people, and that's not something to say it so everybody goes, I'm no longer taking the class because I don't want God to call me in the ministry. But I think it's more people recognizing that God is speaking to them and using them if they're willing to be used. And when we obey, that's when we have those experiences of just knowing that God is with us and that God is present and a powerful force. It's not just something distant. So
Yeah, that's incredible. I didn't know that about your call to ministry.
yeah.
I like that.
That was part of it. So
That's awesome. How does this translate into a sermon series?
all right. So actually the Bible study is 12 weeks and it's a lot of reading throughout the week, but it's powerful information. So there is so much that all we can do in the sermon series is just kind of pull out certain things. So we just have 4 weeks for the sermon series. So we're just kind of taking like some of the highlights to kind of give a little bit of information. The first one was that God is always at work.
Yeah.
So we did that week before last. This coming week, we're going to be talking about the second, third step, which is God wants a relationship with us, and God invites us to join Him. The third week, I'm really excited about. It's about how God speaks to us.
Yeah.
And then the fourth week is really how we have a face a crisis of belief, but then we have to adjust and obey, and then we get to experience God. So we're cramming it into a 20-minute sermon, something that you would normally take a lot longer. In fact, we taught this class in the fall and in the spring, and we took 2 weeks for each unit just because we wanted to soak up everything. And even then, didn't soak up as much as we would have liked to. There was still so much discussion and stuff. But so we've tried to scrunch it down. I think we've done.
I think we've done an okay job.
Well, we survived the first week.
1 week down. We'll see what happens over weeks 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. So
The one I'm excited about, and I could ask you a lot of questions about this. Maybe this isn't the setting for it, but I'm excited to dive into the idea of a crisis of belief. And what that looks like and how to preach about that. I'm eager for that one.
Yeah. Well, and that is a powerful one because there comes a point where we recognize He's speaking to us. That's the step right before that. It's like Moses in the burning bush. He recognizes that God is speaking to him and God's inviting him to be a part of what He's doing. But he has that crisis of belief of, who am I to do that? And, I think for us too, when we feel that push or that call or that whisper from God that we're supposed to do something, I think it's a crisis of belief of, do I believe that's really God? Do I believe I'm capable of doing what God's asking me to do? And so there is just that moment. But, as long as we can always remember when God calls us, He's going to be, giving us the power and the guidance to do whatever He's calling us to do. So we're never out there on our own. But it's just that crisis of belief in that moment of, am I capable of handling this?
I don't want to give away what I'll preach about, but my favorite story of that in the Bible is in Isaiah chapter 6, when Isaiah is commissioned and he sees the Lord on the throne above and he sees the seraphim flying, and God says, "Whom shall I send and who will go for us?" And Isaiah's response is, "Woe is me, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I am among a people of unclean lips." And then to the point of experience, one of the seraphim comes and puts the burning coal on his lips. No longer a man of unclean lips, because that has been taken away. So God asked the question, and He says, "Here am I, Lord, send me." Again, I don't want to give away a sermon here in a couple of weeks, but that's what I immediately fall into is how often have we been woe is me people when God is calling us to be here we are people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very good.
So it's a fun sermon series. I think it's a poignant time, honestly, as we are in a stage and in a time of transition.
We are
here at the church. If you were not here on Sunday or if you were not seen on social media, we announced this week that Pastor Grant Palma was stepping away, and then I became the senior pastor. And so we're in a season of change, and change is hard, and change can be scary. Change can also be good, but it's one of those things that I'm so glad we're diving into this idea of we need to be seeing where the Lord is in the midst of change and transition and intimidating and scary and fun, and just seeing God in all of these things. And so I think the timing of this couldn't be anything but God, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because we do see God working all around us.
Yeah.
And we just want to be very attentive to making sure that we're following God in all of this.
Yeah, and I think it's an amazing thing. And so as we look forward, we're about to, I don't know that we're ever not in a busy season, but as we look forward into what is a busy season for not just us, but the church at large, because we are coming into Advent, we're coming into the Christmas season. And if y'all didn't know, we are located in the Christmas capital of Texas, which makes that a special time and place to be in Grapevine. But what are you looking forward to for the rest of the year as we look forward?
Well, you and I have already had part of this before, because we came a little bit before this time last year.
Yeah.
So that was our first time to kind of go through this season of September, October, November, and all the Christmas stuff. And it's kind of nice after you get past that first time through, where we were the deer in the headlights, of oh my goodness, what all are we doing? That this time I think we can kind of enjoy it more and soak it up and make sure that we're really listening to God and directing things a little bit better, because we don't feel like we're quite as much the newbies,
right?
So
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah,
and it's fun to see what's going to take place between right now, it is September 10th, and December 31st.
Yeah,
we kicked off some Bible study programming, and on Wednesday nights there is a study that you and I are going to be changing out, teaching together, which I'm excited about. And then you have your Thursday morning Bible study. We'll, of course, have our Sunday schools, and we'll be here on Sunday, and we'll do all of these amazing things. And then there's going to be these fun things, too, from our trunk or treat.
Right.
That is on October 18th. And we'll get to see, our church come together and make a fun environment for kids, but also to give kids a fun and a safe place to enjoy and get a little bit of candy. I know my girls are excited about that, specifically the older one. But that's going to be really fun to see. When we look into Christmas, we get our first big things are our candle lighting and our Christmas village. And like you said, we're not newbies anymore. I was not here last year on those days. I was at a wedding in Mexico.
Oh, that's right.
It's going to be very new for me.
It was amazing. It was amazing how everything was put together, and the music, but all the other activities going on outside around the church.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry you missed it last year, but you're going to love it. And Emery's going to love it
She sure will.
too. So, yeah.
She's an excitable little girl.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. I'm excited about all of that. And I think it is worth talking about here as we look at the future, as we look at what's next, how grateful I am that you and I get to do this together. And it's for you listening, this is something that we talk about almost daily at this point, that we are very aligned as a team and we work really well together, and we're just going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
As we look forward toward the end of this year and the year to come. I'm excited to see how God uses you and me individually, but us as a team, and of course we have an amazing church staff who we get the blessing of supporting and getting to be a part of it with them.
There are so many things going on right now, Zach, because there has been always in this church. But I mean, just looking around at the youth things and the children's stuff. We're doing third grade Bibles this Sunday. So
third graders are getting Bibles.
Yeah, the whole group.
The youth group just had a what they call an invite level event, which is it's free. Bring a friend. We're gonna go do something fun. I think they went to Pin Stack last week and bowled and played games and all of that kind of stuff. So it's fun to see opportunities for youth to bring their friends to see what their church is about.
Yeah, and our Tweens group is very active and always doing something, going someplace. And
they're meeting this week.
Yeah,
and they're braving Grape Fest week to meet here at the church.
Which is great. They're learning about God, but they have Christian friends that are surrounding them, and so that when they deal with the other issues that tweens and youth deal with, and they've got a strong group of friends that can help them through that,
right.
and a group of adults that love and support them too.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a ministry that I don't want to say was surprising to me, but it was one I didn't really know much about coming into my time here, and I've been so impressed. Lucy is typically the one who oversees the tween group, and she does an amazing job.
Yeah.
And yeah, just it's fun to see that, like we said, we're in a time of transition, but God has not stopped moving.
That's true.
And we have so many opportunities to continue to be the hands and feet of Christ in the world. We gave away a car last week.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
To a home health worker who travels, and what a blessing it's going to be for him to be able to have a reliable piece of transportation.
Yeah.
There are things like that we see happening. We know that our youth group has what they call their mini mission coming up, where they do a mission trip around the city of Grapevine. I think they end it with a lock-in, or at least they did previously. And I can say that with confidence because I remember last year I was pulling up to the church on a Sunday morning as the youth pastor at the time was putting up a sign on the door that said, "Don't walk down here because kids are asleep." So I'm glad you put that there now, because that used to be where I practiced on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
But they're about to do that, and we have some international trips coming up.
We have Costa Rica, December the 10th through the 14th. They'll go over and be getting ready for Christmas parties and doing some things with the people over there, the churches and the orphanages over there, and we have the Kenya stuff that's going on. Though we did that in, I guess it was June when we went over to Kenya, but we are constantly working with them. In fact, we support a group of evangelists over there and a huge group of orphans that we supply funding for to make sure they're provided with what they need.
Yeah, I actually got an update this morning about the impact of the evangelists that you would know better than I would from being there, but whatever church it is, they had like 100 people come because of the work of the evangelists around there just recently.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is.
And we had a group in Latvia for 2 months, and they got to see and experience and share the love of God around them. And I think a really cool thing that one of the evangelists that we sent over there did was she took the Stephen ministry to the church in Latvia, to First Riga, and taught them, this is how you sit in compassion with people who are hurting, and taught them some of the training that she's gone through, which just special stuff, which this is a side note. We're going to record a podcast with them to hear about their experience in Latvia sooner rather than later. And it'll be amazing just sitting here. Like, this is what you did, and this is how you saw God move. There's too much going on not to be excited about it.
I know, yeah. Well, even just what's going on here in Grapevine, and the ways that we support the community here.
Yeah.
So we'll do a missions podcast on that pretty soon.
Yeah,
too.
coming up quickly.
Yeah.
And this week in particular, Grapevine is such a unique spot because there's so much that happens just on Main Street, and we have the luxury and the blessing of being a block away.
Yes.
We're a 9-iron away from Main Street. And so this week in particular is a festival they call Grape Fest, which is a wine tasting festival. And some of our people put their heads together and came up with some really fun and creative advertisements for the church as our parking lot is used. So if you are here this upcoming Sunday, which will be the 14th of September, you'll see some jokes on the walkway, which we hope you will stop and look at and hopefully laugh at, or at least make fun of Keva and I for them a little bit.
Kind of like dad jokes, right?
Just a little bit. But it's stuff like that, and the missions, the benevolence that we get to do, and you head off that ministry, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That we truly have an opportunity to meet our community where it is, and to be the hands and feet of Christ in a really special way. We're going to have people on Main Street this week for Grape Fest, volunteering and helping and showing people the love of Christ, and in a different setting, to be sure, but one that's powerful and one that's going to bring a lot of people to our city.
Yeah.
And just knowing we are a church. I've had this conversation a few times recently, that as people look at their church and see what's happening in this place, the phrase that keeps coming up is, we're a church that delivers. We help when we can. We love when it's hard. We show up when we need to, and even times when we don't need to, we're there. And it just makes me really excited for what the future of this church is. And again, the fact that we get to do it together makes it all the better.
Yeah. We get to be a part of what God is doing.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. And so I think that about sums up where we are and what's going to happen. We hope that you listeners have enjoyed this time. This has just kind of been a roundtable conversation about some of the things we're excited about, some of the things going on here, and some of the things that will go on as we look forward. So wherever you find yourself today, walking the dog, doing the dishes, driving to work, whatever it may be, we are glad that you would join us, and we hope that you have a good rest of your week. We'll see you soon.